There's a clip up on YouTube of Vinny Colaiuta, there he is again, playing a really cool groove back in 1985. Somebody emailed me and asked me what was going on. Now I'd like to preface this by saying that I find it pretty hard to play, so the ideas that I'm going to give you in this lesson are things that I'll be practicing myself to try and tighten it up. But basically the groove sounds like this. So the components of this are the right hand is playing like a broken 16th note pattern, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. And I find it helpful, I'm holding the stick towards the back and more kind of in these back fingers, kind of throwing it into the hi-hat. And when I'm up here for the two notes, the grip is slightly forward and there's a bit more space here. So I'm kind of going from this with the fingers out and using the fingers to move the stick and then snapping the arm down and grabbing it at the back. And then on the snare drum, the backbeat, or some of the backbeats, have a kind of double, like the 1E or the 2E or the 4E going on. So just the hands together, it's like this. And then there are a couple of other ghost notes that creep in there sometimes, depending on what he's doing with the bass drum. What I would do if I was working on this would be play the basic groove with the hands and then work through permutations on the bass drum. So I'd start with the bass drum on the 1. And then move it onto the E. And then onto the and. So this is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. So I guess I'm playing on the and of 1 and the and of 3. So then I'd move it onto the A. So that's all the single note permutations. Then I'd work with two note permutations, so the 1E, and then the E and, 1E and, 2E and, 3E and. Then the and A. Etc., etc. And then onto 3 note groupings. So 1E and. This is harder. Okay, so you can see I'm not very good at that. So what I do in my own practice sessions is when I find something that I struggle with, I'll try and break down the exercise and figure out what exactly it is that I'm struggling with. So in this case, it's playing 3 sequential notes on the bass drum and having them all be kind of the same volume. So one exercise that I might do is to play maybe a little bit slower and try accenting each of those 3 notes. So accent the first of the 3 for a while, and then accent the last of the 3 for a while, then accent the middle of the 3 for a while. This is hard. This is going to really develop your control of your foot. So, and I probably won't be able to do a very good example of it, but basically just focusing, putting the accent on the different notes draws your attention to them and makes you really pay attention to what your foot is doing in that case. So to get a loud middle note, for example, you need to have a good bounce back off the head. So you hit the first note. For the first note to be loud, you need to make sure you prepare in time so that the beat is going to come back far enough to give you a loud note. The second of those notes, you need to make sure that the beat is bounced far enough off the head so that you can get a nice loud note there. And then the last one is usually easier to make loud because your leg will drop and kind of you get the whole weight of your leg in the drum. So just playing 3 notes, accenting the first one, accenting the last one. See, that's much easier to do. And then accenting the middle one. So in order for me to accent that middle note, I was kind of dropping my foot down for the middle one and bringing it back up for the last one. Well, in order to not accent the last note. But playing around with these things will make you more aware of what's going on with your foot. So basically work through the 3-note permutations, so on the 1 E and then the E and A1. And then move on to the 4-note permutations, which is, you would normally say that it was just all 4 notes, but what we're doing is playing notes within like an 8. We're playing the first 2 beats, so we're playing the first 4 notes of the first 2 beats, and then you can shift those so you get 1 E and A 2 E, for example. E and A 2 E. Okay, so that's 5 notes. But you can see how we'd move on and you do 5 notes and 6 notes until you're actually playing all 8 notes. And when you're playing all 8 notes, really try and feel the bounce of the beater off the head so that you basically, in order to get this up to speed, you need to utilize the bounce. You don't want to be killing the beater on the head and then hoping the spring will bring it back in time. You've got to let the beater bounce off the head. So the bass drum pattern that Vinny's playing in that groove is something like this. So that's the first time round. So we've got 1 E on the bass drum, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. So just the A of 3, and then 4 E and A 1 E. So 1 E, the A of 3, and then A 1 E into the next bar. There's a snare and a kick on the 4 of the second bar. And that ties up that 2-bar phrase nicely. And then he moves on to just putting a few extra bass drum notes in after that. So 1, 2, 3, A 4 E and a 1 E, 2, 3, A 4. So it's just those extra like 5 notes there. So sometimes it's even harder to play slow. But these extra ghost notes that crop up are, let me see. Something like that. So 2 E, A, 2 E, and A 3 E, and a 2 E, and A 3 E, and a 2 E, and A 3 E, and. But basically that's what's going on, and you could try. If you get comfortable with this, you could try, putting some open hi-hats in or varying the hi-hat pattern a bit. But to be honest, it's hard enough just to get the groove down. So I'm going to be doing some more work on this, and I hope you have some fun with it.